Hey Global Village, what's up? Okay, I want to talk about the Russia-Ukraine war because this particular situation, I think it is very difficult to find moral clarity, and I do believe it is actually quite a complex situation to understand. So, I want to talk about the fact that if you go online, you can find what appear to be quite objective and credible sources who will explain two very different realities. So you can find a commentator that will explain to you that Russia has lost a tremendous amount of soldiers in this war, up to 1 million soldiers, that their economy is on fire, that they have been dipping into their sovereign fund and supporting a wartime economy, that they have suffered devastating damage to their oil fields, courtesy of Ukraine, that things are looking very bleak for Russia, that inflation is looking to go out of control, that no one wants to deal with rubles. So Russia economically in very bad shape. That they've burnt through a tremendous amount of soldiers. They can further tell you things like Putin is not really able to conscript and mobilize more soldiers, because if he did so, he would now have to start taking soldiers from more wealthy families and larger cities, whereas previously all of his soldiers have come from Siberia and tiny little townships, very poor people. And he can't do that anymore because he's used up all of those resources. That he has been using soldiers from prisons. It can paint a very dire picture for Russia. Now, we can also find creators who, again, come across as very credible, who will explain how the Ukraine is really on its knees, that they are losing ground, that they're having to fall back, that they're losing a tremendous amount of soldiers compared to the numbers that the Russians are losing, that they're running low on ammo, that there's just no way they can win this war, that it's a fool's errand, and that Zelensky should be negotiating for a peaceful conclusion to this war right now, even if it means making significant concessions to Russia, because otherwise he's literally just spending lives needlessly on a war that he is doomed to lose. Right, so who's actually telling the truth here? And what I've come to believe is that neither side is lying, but neither side is really actually telling us the truth, the full truth, because they are only focusing on one side of the equation. So I believe this war is a disaster for Russia, and I believe it is a disaster for Ukraine. And there is no real winning for either side, because even if Russia does win with more territory, their economy has been devastated, their sovereign funds has been absolutely crushed. Something you should know about Russia is that when this war started, many international companies left Russia. And when they did that, Russia stole a lot of their assets and nationalized them. And they did this illegally, causing billions of dollars of loss for these large companies that used to operate in there. Now, these companies, they're not going to want to come back to Russia when this war is over, even if they're given massive restitution by Russia. They may still not want to come back because they will simply not trust Russia, because Russia has shown to them that as soon as something like this happens, they will simply steal their assets, because that's what Russia did. And so the point I'm making here is you are huffing copium if you think that Russia's economy is doing okay right now. I believe there is a lot of credible and objective evidence to show that Russia's economy is in terrible state, and that Putin's unwillingness to just call this war off, and to just give up on his objectives on this war, is doing tremendous harm to his country. However, for the Ukraine, I do believe it is absolutely correct to say that as this war continues, they are going to lose. They will continue to lose more and more. Understand that losing isn't a Boolean expression. It exists on a spectrum. And the longer it goes, the worse it is going to be for Ukraine in terms of how things look for them. So I do believe that Zelensky should be willing to make some significant compromises just to end this war and to stop spending his soldiers, because there's nothing honourable about spending lives like they're just disposable nappies, which is what he's doing. I don't think that's honourable. And so I don't characterise him as a good guy in this conflict. Bottom line, both sides suck. Both sides are going to come out on the losing end of this conflict when it finally does end. And both sides should cut their losses and come to the negotiating table and just end this madness now. It seems like neither man is willing to do that. Neither man is willing to admit that they've made some terrible mistakes, and the people are paying the price. Okay, Bendy out.